that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, clocked in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life, married to it, my wife.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AoA Show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with my boys, Isaiah.
Yo.
And Gavin.
What's up?
And today we are going to talk about Tower of God Season 2 Webtoon. We're going to be covering episodes 29 to 37. If you all missed the live stream, you should definitely go check that out. It was a blast reading through these chapters, like an absolute blast. But before we get into that, I just wanted to relay a couple announcements, being that these videos, besides the live streams, generally have the most reception and views. So I'm assuming that most of you will be able to now be in the loop after watching this video. So number one, for those of you who don't know, by the way, apologies if you do know already, but here we go. For those of you who don't know, our channel has unfortunately received 2 copyright strikes, both from Sword Art Online reactions. We thought the first one was a fluke and then realized it wasn't when we got hit by the same exact people for another one. But now we've learned our lesson that if a company that large is hitting us for a show that popular, that we should probably piss off after the first strike and not try and push our luck on a second. But with that being said, we have refrained and will be refraining from releasing reaction videos of any sort until at least one of those copyright strikes is lifted, if not both. So we're talking like late October before anything tends to be, clear up in that respect. So anyone who's been, going for the God of High School ones, things like that, unfortunately, we won't be posting those. But we are still recording for God of High School. Those of you who are fans, we are still recording our reactions to them. We are still editing them. And we are planning on releasing them to our YouTube channel in some way, shape, or form. Not now, but just when all of this blows over, so that anyone that was following and wants to see our genuine reactions can watch those later down the road. So just bear with us there, and thank you for your patience on that. Number two, if you are watching this, if you watched the live stream earlier today and you were a little out of the loop, because I had some people in the comments asking, Gavin was not with us for the live stream. He was sorely missed by a lot of people. It was really funny to see all the love for Gavin on that one.
I love you guys.
But in general, and I mean, Gavin could explain this better, but just a short summary, we are living life here, and as much as we want to devote every waking minute, hour, and second into this, which we try and do, put blood, sweat, and tears into it, we have to sustain a livable measure for ourselves. So
Gavin has a job.
Gavin has a job.
So
with that being said, we're trying to organize our schedule around that so that we can incorporate Gavin as much as humanly possible in the show, obviously, and navigate it like that. But with that being said, we are 3 different individuals with 3 different lives. So there may be a time, i.e. the stream today, or times where, unfortunately, if Gavin is not available to record and we have to get something out like that's time sensitive or whatever is going on, that Isaiah and I will take up the mantle, hold down the fort, and record that in Gavin's stead. But that doesn't mean Gavin's going anywhere in those terms. He's just, trying to navigate life. So those are the announcements that I just wanted to throw on the table real quick. Everyone should know now, and I shouldn't see any comments asking me any questions
and
anymore
we have
on it.
a new schedule,
Yes.
i.e. because of Gavin's job, which is posted on all our social medias. And by all our social medias, I mean Facebook and Twitter, because those are the only ones that let you pin posts to said pages. So look at those, check those out. Yes. It's also on our YouTube community tab. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Good call out. Yeah, so new schedule, obviously, along with that, and you can check that out there. So that's all the announcements. We're going to get into it, but make sure if you guys like the content today that you are liking, subscribing, hitting that notification bell, sharing with your friends, and commenting your thoughts down below. What did you think of our discussion? What did you think about these chapters in particular? If you don't have us on socials yet, that's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can follow us there to keep up to date with what's going on with the show. If you want to listen on your car ride or while you're mowing your lawn or doing some sort of housework or chores, we are on audio-only platforms. So if you didn't know, now you know. It's Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, etc. Make sure you guys are following us on your favorite podcast platforms. And lastly, if you guys didn't know, we have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/AoA show, where you can get exclusive benefits and tiers and all that kind of stuff. And the last one that I have to get used to incorporating into these plugs now is that we have a Discord. Yes, and we're really excited about that. We saw a lot of new faces join in today after our live stream, which is really awesome to see. I'm really excited to build this community and have all of you guys have this banter with each other in a more personalized space. So we do have a Discord server now, and you can find all of those links in the description down below. But anyway, let's get into this freaking analysis here. I have said enough on all that kind of stuff. So we jump right in, and we are on the third test floor, or the third test rather, on the 21st test floor. We meet a new supervisor here who has a great character design. I really love how they are basically taking, like, especially with Love and now this, where they're taking these, you know, the supervisors, and they're making them seem so unassuming, like kind of like your Han Sung as well, right? Because he's like relatively short, and he's like, you know what I mean, like unassuming. And it's just funny because, again, it just shows that appearances almost mean nothing. You know what I mean?
They literally look like kids, but they're like 1,000 years old. And you're like, all right, bro. But like, honestly, he looks like a G.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Pretty comical because they get into the testing arena and they're supposed to fight, I guess, another team or whatever. And he's basically like, yeah, they all ran. Like they don't want to fight you because you got Viola on your team, and they're probably scared of him. So we're actually going to do a different test. So they go, okay, what do you mean? So we flash forward, we go to like this giant boat thing, you know, that they're on, kind of like a cruise ship. And they're like, well, what's going to happen when all of a sudden this giant thing called a Zigena blasts out of the water, which is essentially a whale of some, you know what I mean? Like of the whale species. Yeah, a cow whale, literally. It goes moo. So, yeah, it literally goes moo.
I know, but like, I didn't put two and two together until you just said that, and I was like, oh my God, a cow whale.
Can you imagine a whale with udders? Like with an udder? Now you don't want to imagine it, but it's already in your head. That would be one giant ass udder.
I don't even want to say I want to kill myself because you're going with me at that rate.
Yeah.
So
I'm just going to leave you with that thought. Don't think about it too hard.
Hate you.
Anyway, so they get on top of this thing, and basically the objective is to obtain this this jewel that's in or this flower rather that has like a jewel style thing.
It produces a jewel.
Yeah, it produces a jewel, right? And it's only found in the stomachs inside these, you know,
Only
these
grows
animals
inside the animals.
Exactly, right? So he says, okay, they're very rare. They only go in here, and these animals are bordering extinction at this point. So it is your job and your test right now as a team to go into this animal and obtain said jewel and bring it out. If you are able to do it, you win. If you don't, you fail, right? There's a caveat, obviously, as all these tests have, in that the creature will flip because it has two blowholes on top and bottom. It will generally flip every 30 minutes. So when you're inside this ginormous being, obviously that could produce some problems, you know, so you have to make sure that you're timing this properly, essentially. So anyway, let me fast forward a little bit here because that's basically all the panels that I just explained. But it's a very interesting test, and you know, it was really exciting when we were doing the live read through to be like, what is going on? So they enter through the blowhole. But were you gonna say something?
It's funny that when I'm thinking about it now, looking back, before I was like, yo, like, fuck these administrators and test people who are just like making these stupidly impossible or like ridiculously high risk tests as like like this was one off. Like I just thought of it. And it's like, no, nigga, clearly planning went into this. Like, but now that I think about it, after reading after having read the chapters, they make a comment specifically that basically states that the whole point of sending them in here was to get Viola in here because they want, you know, he who must not be named, I'll wait for his entrance, to eliminate him. So essentially, all of this was just to kill, like, it was just to make sure that Viol doesn't, that he doesn't get past this test. Which it's like, in my mind, I'm like, so we were just going to kill all these motherfuckers, bro, just to get Viol. It's like, and this was on the chance, right, that their rival team happened to quit, and it's like they didn't quit, nigga. You killed him, or you got rid of them, or something. Like maybe there is no rival team. Like, don't fucking play me. Yeah. I know what's going on here. I'm coon braining up here, bro. I'm coon braining. All right. I know what's happening here.
Oh man, that's funny. So they take a motorboat essentially, and I thought it was funny. The supervisor had a little floaty with him, and he's like, "Yeah, take the boat. Like it'll be cool." And we have some funny panels where Jan tries to, you know, produce the flame, but then totally like burns the motor black. And, you know, but then the thing just eats them. You know what I mean? So they didn't have to do anything flashy. And what happens is that they all get separated in different groups, right? The classic thing. And they're all going to have to work together, but separate in order to complete this task. So they come across, well, not quite yet, but they are on the hunt for said jewel and flower when we see a gentleman seemingly taking a nap or whatever.
Nappy time
next to it. And we go, well, who's that? and we see the snapback and
Tattoos.
that tattoo. And this is what's hilarious, right, about this character, because it's like you want to like have this grand entrance, like who could it be? But he literally has his freaking name plastered across his back, which is hysterical and fits his character so well.
I actually didn't realize that. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I was like, are you blind?
It's like somebody's watching and they're like, oh, that's like their awakening.
I thought his name was Cube. No, but he has his name tattooed across his back, and it is the one, the only Urek Mazino, which obviously this back tat, I mean, minus the name, really is pretty freaking dope, but it's just hilarious because it just goes to show this character, as we get more into it, how damn prideful and cocky he is and confident that, you know, there's plenty of people that want his head, and, you know, there are a lot of like legends that circulate around the tower because it's so vast and so large that just because like Urek is a wanted character or there are people that are out to get him doesn't mean that everyone's going to know exactly what Urek looks like or what, you know, if he disguises himself. But this guy doesn't even wear a shirt and just plasters his name on the back of his on his back to invite anyone that would try and come and oppose him, which is just awesome. And I can't wait to get more into this character as we go into some of the future panels. But this guy is just an interesting one. Yeah, he is fucking awesome. So anyway, so that was the end of that chapter there. Anyway, so then we get on to Jan, who is then talking to Bam and, you know, upset about something because she's upset that everyone fucking went away. Whatever. She's fine. She's kind of irrelevant for this. I'm not going to lie. She's kind of irrelevant.
She's fine. She's relevant.
It's like the biggest attempt to be like, all right, I don't really know what's happening here,
To be
but
fair,
let's just
like
skip
her
forward.
only real relevance, I believe, comes at like the end of the read through for us because, you know, the flower ties back to the Jan family and how they do it. But right now, you know, she's just kind of bitching about everything.
She's bitching.
So we go back to these folks and they're trying to search for it when we come across the dreaded
hula hoops,
or Fruit Loops, as we'd like to call them as well, of Doom or whatever these things are. We literally, I don't think we got an answer on this, right? I don't think they really explained. Not that it really matters, but it's just like, okay, like these things are just inside this whale
just
thing,
a thing
floating
in his body,
too.
and
there they go.
you know.
No, it was really cool though. So they're like, how are we going to traverse this, right? When they notice that all of a sudden the flower with the jewel in it is behind them on top of this seeming like a pig essentially that's running away. And so Wang, you know, right off the rip, hilarious because he just starts chasing it, talking shit to it. He's like, doesn't follow any procedure. But it was really cool, at least at first. But it was really cool. Something I'd like to highlight: the teamwork that we saw displayed here and otherwise. I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on that, but I thought that was a really cool thing to witness.
Well, it's great because now they're actually shedding light on characters who haven't like really been in scenes. Like the little girl, her name's evading me right now, and Glasses, you know. Meesing, you know,
and ghosting.
Like we actually, I don't think we even knew what they did or had like an idea of their capabilities until this actually happened.
I mean, it's assumed obviously that they are one of the positions, right? Whether it's a fisherman, lighthouse, whatever. But like, it's nice to see them utilize whatever their skill is, together and like so succinct. I mean, I was saying this during the stream, but like particularly when you see like in panels like this and even before, and you'll see one more, I believe, sort of towards the tail end. How SIU builds exposition into the reading and into the panels and in a way that's not so invasive as to be like, all right, stop reading the story and take this exposition and now keep going. It's like something will happen and somebody will say something, like Prince, for example, will be like, what is it? I think it's called a three field something.
Yeah, what does he get? I can't remember.
I think it's back up.
The 3-field lighthouse.
No, he's
no.
right
It's
now.
yeah.
He goes, okay, lighthouse
That's
triple
what it
field.
is.
Yeah,
And like you're like triple field. Is that like a technique? Is that? And then you literally will scroll up a half a panel and there's this description, which is funny because it's just something that, like literally a random thing he made up. But like there's more instances like right before with Wang and company where like he will just literally take that little paragraph or blurb to explain to you, give you the exposition, to tell you what's going on, and like that's it. That's all you need. You don't need, it's just enough to like take in and keep going with the story, and it just it doesn't interrupt the flow, which I love.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. So then we have Teddy Bear and Prince, as referred to in these panels, who get split off as one of the groups, right? And basically a creature comes through like a parasite of this giant whale, and Teddy Bear kind of dismantles it relatively easily.
One punch. Yeah.
But then he realizes that he's like, wait a minute. I think this thing was running from something. I don't think it was running at us in particular, right? When all of a sudden this, he looks up above and it looks like all these dead creatures or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Or just one of them just gets slammed to the ground at, blindingly fast speed. And that's when we realize that it's not a creature that we need to be scared. Well, I guess you could call him a creature, but it's not necessarily a creature we need to be scared of. It's a man. And right away, Teddy Bear notices, he goes, that's, and he already knows, he goes, Prince, you gotta go.
Yeah.
And so this is something interesting with Teddy Bear, I'd like to say too, because at first, actually, when we were live reading, I was like, okay, maybe it's that he's that good at sensing like a power level, as it were, off the rip. But it is interesting now that he uses the words, no, that's, and like, I don't even think he saw his back tattoo yet. So I think it's interesting that he might actually know who Urek is.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like
I
beforehand.
think we referenced this in last week. I think Teddy Bear is somebody of more importance and knows a lot more about the tower than his character might initially lead you to believe.
Yes.
So my point being is that I think he's been around the block a couple times, and so I definitely think he instantly recognized Urek like from sight, and with even him with his reputation was like, no, we got to go.
There's a reason why he has to hide his identity and that he's withholding it from everybody.
Exactly.
And like, it's that pinnacle that we're going to reach eventually where it's like, that's why you weren't saying anything because definitely shit would have got stirred if anybody knew who you were.
100%.
Yeah. So he knows already that he's outclassed, and he's like, Prince, like, we got to go. And Prince is funny. We get into it in more panels, but he's just like the cockiest. If he might be even cockier than Urek, to be completely honest.
He's got the same level of confidence with like zero skill to back it up.
I know, it's insane.
He's like, let me at him. I'll kill him in an instant.
At
It's
least
like,
Wangnam knows that he doesn't have the ability to and like recognizes it, but plays it off where like this motherfucker just goes with it. He's like, nah, dude, I'm good.
And it's just so funny because it's like, Prince, you don't know how lucky you are to have the people in your friend group, or I
or
say
your
that
father.
With, grain of salt. Yeah, to know the people that you know, because you would have been dead years
It's like,
ago.
bro, you just kind of got woke. Like, you just stopped being that selfish prick. Don't die. Don't get yourself killed. Don't do it. You haven't even grown yet.
Yeah, come on, man. So Bam, or Viol, hears the crash and basically ditches Yeon. Not ditches her, but he runs towards. And meanwhile, we go back to these folks that are trying to get the pig, and it goes into this little hole, and they're like, oh shit, none of us could fit except bing,
small girl.
Yeah, it's just a small girl by the name of Missing. So they're like, you think you can do it? And, Papa Raptor is like, basically like, yeah, it'll be a good growing experience. You know what I mean? It's like, thanks, Dad. So then, they nominate her to do that. So then we go back to these folks. And again, he's like, you really need to run, kid. And he's like, nah, I'm not running. He's like, you really need to run, though. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to do it. So we got, Urek now. He's kind of like talking shit, right? He's like, don't even think of running away if you want to live a little bit longer, etc. Right? And so under Urek's assumption, he thinks that these people are rankers, because then what we learn now is that they have been sending rankers into this beast because they know Urek is in there to try and kill him. And Urek has been fucking these regulars up one by one or one by 1,000. We don't know.
Rankers.
You said
What'd
regulars.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah. Rankers. In there, and he's just dismantling them with ease, right? So he's like, he thinks that this is the same thing, and he's like, I'm going to destroy you. It's not until Teddy Bear says that, he's like, what are you talking about? We're regulars. And he's like, what? So he's like, oh, okay, that's cute. They probably sent you guys in
because they're running out of rankers.
Or they're running out of rankers or whatever the case is. But like, okay, maybe he's like, he calls them babies. And he's like, have you done anything bad to the supervisor? He's like, you guys just got, put into your death sentence if you try this, right? But he's like, honestly, it's like beating up kindergartners at this point. So like, I'll let you go. Yeah. And he's like, but unfortunately, you got to fail the test, right? That always seems to be the theme now, at least in season 2 so far, where it's like, Love's like, I'm going to give you this impossible task, you know what I mean? And then like, I could crush you in, but he's like, I'm going to let you off with your life, but there's this like stipulation, you know what I mean? It seems to be the same thing. He's like, you got to fail the test, right? Which Teddy Bear seems to be jumping at the opportunity to do so because he knows that he is straight up screwed. Horyang, and that's when Viol comes in. Up. Yeah, the boy, right? And they have this awesome stare down between the two of them.
I just love that glance over.
Yeah, right. Where we get Urek's eye, and then we get Bam's eye, and Teddy Bear tries to warn him essentially, and that's when Bam essentially is like, yeah, but like I can't. So right before that, we get some dialogue with Wang and Arc Raptor were, Arc Raptor's like, you've been acting weird. Like, what's the deal? And Wang is like, well, I kind of figured out what the hell's going on with Bam. And unfortunately, all of his friends get axed if he fails, in one way, shape, or form. Every time he fails, like a friend will get axed. Like, he's got to do this, right? So now having that context, we know why Viola's like, I can't not, I can't back down.
They're like, we got to give up. He's like, the fuck we are. Let me at him.
I'm starting to like really love Rap Daddy just because he's like awesome. Just so good with them, dude. It's like he always knows how people are feeling, like when they're just off of their normal mindset, and is like, let's I got some tea, I got a blankie. You gonna explain it right now. And like,
he's Big Dad. He's Big Dad energy, bro.
He's Big Dad, and he has incredible emotional intelligence, like among almost like all the other characters within his specific group. Yeah, like he's just he's awesome. I've liked him from the start, but anyway, so then we get this stare down again. And he's like, I'll kill you, right? And Viol's like, yeah, but there's things I really fear more than death, so we're gonna do this. And then he gets squared up and he's ready to go, right? And it's at this point that we actually see what Urek looks like, and this was just the best freaking reveal ever, because he's literally, what we were told is that he was literally based off of Slim Shady. So that's just hysterical, because he really does look like him, like to the T, but just ripped. Like if Eminem was just straight up ripped, like out of his bird. And at this point, it was like, listen, we're gonna get a better panel, and then I'll go to it in a second here, and I'll tell you. But he comes up, and we finally see what he looks like, and he's like, all right, we're gonna square up. So. And he's telling, and then he tells Viol rather that the flower you're looking for will fall on it. I'm sorry, fucked up. If Viol gets the flower before he can catch him, then he'll let him go, because he knows that he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you in a split second. Honestly, this isn't even fun for me. So
100%.
Yeah, that's what he tasks him with at that point. So. And then from there, Bam's like, yeah, got it, whatever. And Urek's steady on talking his shit there. But then Prince is like, yo, what are you, a coward? Like, you're just going to run away? And that's when there's going to be an ulterior motive to this, because, Teddy Bear is like, okay, I know Viol's not going to back down here, so we need to do what we can to help him. So he's like, what we're going to do, he's like, page everyone. And he's like, tell him the location and tell him to get there fast, because when this thing flips is when we're all going to attack him at the same time. So it's like, oh shit. And you think for a second, it's like, that they're all going to get like wrecked, but I think it's really a diversion thing, at that point, just to kind of save them. So then we get everyone's pocket starts ringing, or their lighthouses, and they're like, yo, meet here at the spot, in like X amount of minutes.
The group text.
Yeah, the group text, legit.
Yo, where y'all at?
Yeah, right? And from this point, we just see how incredibly fucking shredded Urek is right off the rip. Like, bruh, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? We were saying it in the live stream. We were cracking up, right? Because it was like, everyone's got like one character that they like pretty hardcore simp over. And generally speaking, each of us have like a female and a male that where it's like, all right, simping is justified right now. And we were saying for Gavin, it's Lara Rowe as the dude. Isaiah has Coon. Obviously, he stated that. But I was in this thing where I was like, man, where am I going to find someone to like, where am I going to find a dude to simp on?
Only I could find a man that treats me
right.
Like,
where am I going to find a male character in this freaking story to simp on? I'm like, I love them all. They're great, but like, I just haven't found it. Exhibit A. I have found it. And much more. This is my favorite character.
And ironically, they just need to be half naked, jacked, and wear a snapback. That's all it takes.
Bro, and like not even just like, first of all, peep the aesthetics. Like, we got Z's on the floor right now, but like not even that. You know what I mean? Like, just more of this character as he gets fleshed out later.
This is funny with you, because I feel like now that you've broken up with Rack and like you finally got into a place in your relationship where like you've steadied yourself and you've moved on, and you're like, you know what? He was jacked, and I really loved how jacked he was, but his character didn't have a lot of relevance and urgency in the story. Now you see a jacked nigga who actually does fight and obliterates everybody and has a reputation for doing so. You're like, well, this is what it means to fall in love at first sight. And it's a beautiful thing to watch people fall in love. It is.
Holy shit, bro. Yeah, dude. Like, Rack, listen, we had a good run, but like, unfortunately, you were just destined to fail from the start. You know what I mean? He like your guy doesn't even want to draw you at this point. Like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean?
Like,
he's
like, I tried to love you, but they didn't give me anything to love.
They gave me nothing to work with now. I'm sorry. And someone else came along His name is Urek. So I mean, I'm just saying, like I got there. I have Ryun as my lady. And we got Urek as the homie here. And,
there's only one proper female.
We were actually asking this. We were curious.
Yeah, we were pretty sure like, you were just running the gay thing, where it was like you just had a dude. But it's good to know. Do you have a woman?
Yo, Isaiah asked it, and I go, yo, wait. I was like, I know yours is Yuri. Isaiah.
No, mine is Yuri too. That's why I always talk her up.
Really?
Yeah.
We didn't know.
That's why literally every time he's like Yuri, and I'm like, yes, Yuri.
I don't know, because it was like Isaiah had it, and I was like, well, who's Gavin's? The guy Isaiah's like, I think he just likes dudes. we were just dying.
Well, this is wonderful then, because now we can both go to the Church of Yuri meeting.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
You'll have to sit outside, obviously, because you're a fucking
No, dude, he's not laying on the lawn. Are you kidding me?
Dude, you fucking listen. I'm standing Ryun. I don't care what anyone says. Anyway,
that's fine. She has a little picket tent in the parking lot.
Yeah, she has one eye. Nobody likes her anyway.
Okay.
Gavin is so after this like aesthetic thing. He's like, she doesn't even have two eyes.
Yeah, what a bitch, you know?
It's like, what? Did somebody with one eye hurt you? I don't understand.
Oh my god, for real, a pirate. He has fucking nightmares of pirates. Oh man, he fucking screams in his sleep. Was it the pirates again, Gavin? Was it Captain Hook? Yes. Holy shit. So anyway, they're about to brawl, essentially, and like go at it here. And, you know, it's a countdown. You know, he's like, I'll give you to 10, because he knows they're all going to converge on him when the shit flips at that point anyway. So he's like, let's have some fun with it. So it's down to the wire, and he says, you're all here. So now, this was a cool one. He's like, let's start the game, babes. You know, so then he, you know, he's ready to rock. Hang on one second.
Ready to rock.
Ready to rock. Anyway, we repeat this panel for last time on Tower of God. But he's like, you know, so then they got their plan going into action. Now, unfortunately, Teddy Bear, although he tries to do what he can, you know, fails. Pretty you know, pretty bad fail.
I'm surprised he didn't go full devil mode. Like, I understand why he doesn't in terms of, like, again, revealing his identity, but, like, you know who you're going up against, like, you can't be like mid tier if you're versing Europe.
Well, that's
like,
what's interesting is that like, whatever Teddy's true ulterior motive or identity is, he feels it's so important
exactly
that he probably willing to catch a beating from Urek instead of revealing
and
it.
possibly
so like,
death.
Yeah,
knowing
so I'm
Urek.
thinking that like Teddy Bear is straight on some like Akatsuki level like high tier wanted list where like if people find out who and where he is, like he's just done. People are just gonna be sniping him 24/7. So like he's or something like that.
For sure. I just want to highlight this panel real quick because this one was really sick. I like this one a lot. So he dives. He obviously dismantles everyone, and their cheap tricks essentially do nothing. We get Ash Ketchum throws the Pokeball, and that really does nothing because
we do learn from this exchange here that when Prince goes to attack him with his triple field, you know, made up nonsense, and surprise, surprise, it doesn't work, that he says, well, if you guys were going to come at me with a lighthouse, you should have at least brought an opera with you. Yes. And we learned what operas are, which are essentially the highest level lighthouse users that exist in the tower.
So and there's 3 of them, and they only affect him for a millisecond.
Exactly, yeah. And it's like, well, okay. You know, it's like when you know your best, like highest tier, you know, stats and armor are only going to do slightly more damage against the enemy. And it's like, well, I'll last like a second longer.
Urek is a raid boss through and through.
Yeah,
straight
100%.
You can be maxed out on every level, and it actually doesn't even matter. You're going to need a whole
like this
squad.
is the boss fight in the game. You're not supposed to win.
Exactly, right? It's too early in the story. Yeah. We'll come back to this later.
And he actually fought Jihad. Am I mistaken?
I don't know if they.
I don't think he's fought him
Jihad.
like
on a one-on-one.
I don't actually even think he's been to the top of the tower, because from what he stated in at least from the panels is that he really has no interest in like either getting to the top or even confronting or talking.
He may, that's what I thought, but I feel like I remember something where it was like, oh, he tried to fight him, but like,
let's put it this way. I feel like he might give the nigga a run for his money. Well, if he did,
that's what I'm getting.
But I feel like what's funny again with these characters, you know, you kind of think about like your one punch mans, where it's like the higher they are in like the OP, you know, stat boost level, it's like you have to make them so disinterested in the main plot, because it's like, then why wouldn't he just rush the tower and fucking snipe Jihad?
Yeah,
you know?
That was my thought. I'm like, if he can't do anything to Jihad, then imagine Jihad. Like,
right, where it's like everybody here is like again, the whole premise here is like it's going to take the whole tower to kill Jihad, and it's like, well, theoretically, it could just take a Urek, right? But it's like, of course, Urek's like, nah, I don't fuck with that shit. It's like, of course you don't.
To be fair, Urek could Urek is very cocky, and we know that he's incredibly powerful, but we don't know the full power level of Jihad. Like Jihad might actually be stronger or
that's true. And while Urek is definitively probably one of the strongest people. I mean, obviously one of the strongest people we've met, but probably I would say just one of the top tier people in the Tower period. This series has gone on, record here to state that like power is not the only thing you need to obtain victory. Jihad has the one thing over everybody that nobody else can share, and that's influence, right? He literally runs the tower. Yeah. So like, as strong as Urek is, like, I don't actually know if one man on strength alone could take on this entire tower.
Exactly. And now Urek is like, I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He would say that. Yeah.
But he's like, I don't have any interest in it. Like, I want to escape the tower, and I want to see all this fucking amazing stuff. Which, to be fair, dude, like, I don't know, like, in the tower, they got some pretty nice shit going on.
They do, and also, maybe this is just my poor memory, but from my understanding, like, the reason people come to the tower is because, like, there's really nothing going on outside. Like, you're here because if you don't try to climb the tower, like, you're sleeping in dirt for
literally rocks and dirt.
Not to mention that Urek is an irregular, which means he came to this tower from his own volition. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
which means he like got up here, I feel like, jacked up the training, got super strong, was like, this shit's kind of boring. It's like, well, dude, go to the top. You're not done.
Like, yeah, or if he did, like, he just clearly didn't give a shit. I don't know, like, what's going on. He's a very mysterious character, and obviously there's more to be said about him, but we just don't have the answers yet, so fair enough. But anyway, so he dives at Viola after dismantling the whole squad with ease, and he's like, you're gonna feel the wrath right now. He's like, if you're gonna go up, you're gonna feel it. So he does his like Supreme King whatever the fuck, and Bam does the floral butterfly technique. And at this point, everyone's converging like at the last second here, right? The pig with the flower is about to jump out. Mising's right behind it, following suit. And so he goes to hit him with the Supreme King's Scorching Fist of Death. That's a freaking mouthful. So anyway, they go to collide fists here when all of a sudden Viol notices, and Urek, that the pig jumped out and that Mising is literally right behind it, which means that she's going to be caught in the blast zone of this attack and die. There is no other, she's going to die, if she gets hit by this. And that's something that Viola is just not willing to have happen. So he dives.
Because he's Bam, bro. He's my boy.
Yeah, he is. My boy. Like a true G, does what he jumps or whatever, like shields her essentially from the blast, and saves her essentially, but really pays a heavy price in doing so. He literally almost dies, right? Which is like, whoa, there's like, Bam dies, there's like way more things at play here. There's a lot more chess pieces involved. So that was a pretty bold move from him. And at this point, we were like, okay, so how's Urek gonna take this, right? Because there's two major ways, like the black and white ways that in which he takes this. Number one, he's like, what are you, stupid pussy? You know what I mean? Like, whatever, idiot, like only like weak people aren't willing, don't deserve to live, and like this, that, and the third, right? Or the other route, and the one that he takes, which is awesome, that he shows respect for what Bam did and kind of just, leaves him alone and like sees something in that and sees a noble quality within that, which is really awesome that he pulled.
It's great, though, that he still kind of puts like his own cocky spin on it. And he's like, well, when you're faced with the strongest possible thing in the tower, like, it takes a lot of courage to save somebody. And it's like, all right, could have said a little nicer, but like, I
don't know. I prefer the third option in that, though, which is the more creative one. And that's like Urek literally hopping on top of fucking Viola and starts like teabagging him and like starts screaming random shit and then just disappears.
Yeah, we'll bring that up to SIU. So
be like, why aren't I writing your story for you?
Yeah,
come on.
Yeah, what, you're just
obviously it would be more interesting.
You're like, Tower of God, that little tiny comic you wrote, it's pretty cool. But Gavin here obviously has ways to massively improve the story.
Tower of Teabags. What are you gonna say?
Tower of Teabags. And then so Urek is like, is basically like takes the pig or the baby thing, which we find out. And he's like, you can have the thing, you pass. He's like, you guys are dope, and and Viola's dope, and my life's dope, and I do dope shit. So he just fucking goes away, and he's like, I'm just take this pig now, and he just kind of yeets.
Well, so
out
what
of
it is so there's a flower on the on the scroll down a little bit, not on the pig's back, but right there.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the other flower.
That's the other one that he was after, and what the reason he gives up basically because he's like, you guys aren't taking this flower, I'm taking it, because he doesn't know that the thing gave birth to another pig. So he's like, oh, I don't really, I just need the pig, because remember, we'll find out later that his whole thing is with conservation of the species. So he's like, oh, all right, fuck it, you guys can have this flower if you want. I'm gonna take this.
I'm gonna just destroy the whole economy.
I'm gonna take this baby and just book it.
But yeah, so anyway, that's what he says. And he's basically like, all right, like I'm out, you know? And
everybody's like, Nani?
That's when they're like, Mazino, like him. They're like, Urek, fucking Mazino. Urek. Yeah. So then we come out and we meet two characters who we don't know for more than literally 2 panels. We have
Terminator and Arnold Schwarzenegger were both in one.
I was thinking, or Iron, if you wanted to iron your clothes with his fucking head, because he looks like a literal steam iron there. But yeah, whatever works. So they got the squad. Clearly, like these are assumedly rankers, obviously, and like these, you know, if it wasn't Urek, would be very formidable opponents and threats to, you know, to our squad here. So Urek comes out and, you know, the supervisor is like, yeah, I brought these guys. And, you know, and Urek's like, all right, that's cute. Like, bring them at me. And they go at him and unsuccessfully at that, because he just literally atomic bombs them with the palm of his hand and just disintegrates them into absolute dust. Somehow the supervisor survived that attack, I guess. I don't know if he was like on the outskirts of it. But you know, Urek at that point again with his cockiness is he's like, dude, 2, really? 2, 3? He's like, it's gotta be like 1,000 for this to even be a fight. And it's like, damn, you know what I mean? Like this guy.
I'd believe it. So.
Yeah, fuck, dude. So then supervisor tries to go at him again, unsuccessfully.
Just
he
gets
takes
roundhouse,
fucking
bro.
Air Jordan to the back of his fucking neck.
Air
jihad. He takes thank you. He takes a fucking air jihad to the back of his fucking head at like Mach speed and just, you know,
that's the other thing that you missed on stream, Gavin. We're starting a clothesline of jihad sponsored clothesline.
All right. Yep. And then somewhere like Quant has to be a part of it. Like whether it's like really
he's going to be on every shirt.
Yeah, he has to be.
I love it. So then he goes into the whole explanation that he's like, listen, I know that the Yeon family is basically exploiting this animal because, you know, they're trying to make this family symbol and this flower and this jewel very rare when it doesn't have to be.
For profit and power.
Yeah, for profit and power, all the while at the expense of wildlife, of the creature, you know, of the creature and wildlife. And Urek's like, I don't play that shit, you know? So he's like, I'm taking this fucking pig.
Save the earth, dog.
Yeah, save the earth. And my name's tatted on my back. So if anyone's got a fucking problem with it, you could send them directly to my crib and I will fuck them up. Like, I'm not hiding here. So then he goes home and talks to Alfred the butler.
Wait. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And we notice that he has a scratch on him, which for Urek, it's like, you got a scratch?
Yeah, like I don't get scratches. You must be mistaken.
Yeah. And, but he does. And we realize, because they're like, oh, do you think it's from the rankers? Like, don't underestimate them. But he's like, no, it was not. It was from Viol.
It's from my nigga band.
Yeah. And you're like, what? And he's like, that wasn't just a defensive maneuver that he did. He also was able to combine an attack and save Misang at the same time, which is just like incredible, you know, for
that's the nigga right there, bro. That's my boy.
Really is, dude.
I love Bam so much.
Yeah, he says there's a baby Slayer in Fug, and he's like, keep an eye on him. Something fun is going to happen, and then he just like, you know, insert drip. You know, and he just like throws the drip on.
What is it? The Minato fucking Hokage cloak. Like, I'll be right back.
Like, dog, dude, come on now.
Yep. So dope.
Yeah, it was really fucking cool. So dope.
Oh,
yeah,
a great couple chapters.
Yeah, right. Dude, fantastic. So then we go back to Viol here, who is bedridden for X amount of time.
He's in nappy time.
Yeah, it's nappy time. We kind of go back into some other characters' stories and things like that. What's it? This guy's name evades me every time. Jin Sung basically says to Wang that he's like, listen, I'm not going to ask you guys, you know, like, but like he's probably going to find a new team. So like, you know, you guys are, you know, whatever you want to do with that.
I'm not going to kill you. Get out.
Yeah, like take that as you may, right? And all the while also Yan is going, you know, is basically going through, which we get to in a couple panels, her whole existential thing where, you know, Ryun's like, wow, Yeon family, you guys are really doing noble shit there. You must feel proud, huh? You really feel proud about that. And Yeon's like, fuck you, you know, and like does her own thing. We got some of the, and then, you know, Wang is like, we got to get rid of Viol, or rather separate ourselves from him. And Prince is like, fuck that noise. He's got money, which is really funny. He's like, I'll pay for that. And Prince is just like the worst anyway. But he kind of, you know, explains like why in these flashbacks and things like that, like why they need to do what they need to do. So I'm going to zip past some of these just for the essence of time here. And then we go to Wang, who this is a very important scene because he wanted cigarettes up here and Wang gives him lollipops, which I think is pretty funny. And he basically is like, the food is ready. You should come and have dinner. Oh, and by the way, we decided we're making our own path and we're taking Viola with us. And it's like, whoa.
And like, again, when I think of, because we had the comparison last week that Jinsung is basically Madara to like an OG Naruto as terms of scaling with these guys. Mm-hmm. So like, that's who's trying to talk trash to Jinsung right now. And he's like, who are you, child? Like, I'm gonna kill you.
Like, you gotta just respect it.
Yeah.
It's funny. So anyway, from there, he's like, I'm gonna have to shelf dinner tonight because there's a Sith Lord in my presence, and that Sith Lord is Karaka. So he's like, you can come out, and then we get this dude. Again, these fucking character designs are so sick, dude. Cool. It's like, I don't even know. Like, there are people giving comparisons all over the place. First of all, yes, Sith Lord. They were saying he looks 100%. Like a Sith Lord. 1,000% looks like a Sith Lord. Like, just looks like this fucking... Dude, I don't even know. I can't even explain it. And honestly, the fact that I can't even explain it.
He just looks like fear.
Just makes it that much cooler. Because it's so interesting 100%. To see his character.
I just want to know what's under the mask. That's like what's really getting to me.
Also, big thing to mention here, he has the ring. Where have we seen that before? On Ring. So there's something to be said about that and what's going on. Like if he's playing undercover or like whatever, like which he must be, because if his thing is to kill Jihad, you know what I mean? Like that, obviously that must be.
Or I wonder if it's like, sort of, not really like Wang's thing, but I wonder if it's like a Fallen from Grace thing where he used to be one of Jihad's right-hand man, and that's him becoming a Slayer is like something happened basically that he got fucked over, and now that's why he wants to kill Jihad.
Maybe. The only thing is that he refers to Jinsung as master. So, like, I don't know if he would be worthy, power level-wise, to be at the level of a right-hand man of Jihad, being that it's established that we would assume that he, at the time at least, was much weaker.
Well, maybe not like I don't mean like Jihad's right-hand man as in second to Jihad. I just mean somebody working loyally under Jihad who then got fucked over and was like, oh, that's how you're going to treat me? All right, fuck this shit.
That makes sense. That's a theory. I'm not sure. So they kind of have a meeting here about what's going on and how they want to kill Jihad and how Viola is doing with all this and how some of the elders essentially are being like, yeah, you kind of baby that kid too much. And like, we have a goal here that we need to hit. And like, that's nice that you've taken a liking to him. But at the end of the day, he is a piece. He is a pawn.
Like he's got to be able to do the job.
In this whole jigsaw puzzle, that we have here. And like, you have to use him like that accordingly. You can't blow this. Right. And so, he obviously gets offended by that. And he's like, fuck those old bags. like really? You're not going to do it? But he also says, he's like, Viola having more friends means that, we have that many more hostages. So he kind of like turns it around.
Right.
So you don't know if he's completely serious there, if it's like he's just straight up malicious, if it's, he really only cares about Bam and he genuinely means that, or if he's just
I think it's a bluff. Honestly,
I don't know.
I don't. Sure. Yeah, because we definitely get a flashback from him later on in the panels that kind of confirms that like it could be either a bluff or he's on the line. Yeah.
Well, one thing that we do know is Karaka is like in it to win it in terms of using Ban as a pawn.
Oh
yeah,
so, like he's like just straight killing people.
I feel like Ginseng really is
get this mission done. Damn, look at those eyes, bro.
It's really cool, man. It's really cool. So basically, he's like, okay, I'll relay to the elders what you said, because he's like, yeah, go do that. So then he eats a lollipop. And then we get we get Karaka talking to someone else who we don't actually, facts. We actually don't know who the hell it is.
I guess it's Pokin. Is that his name?
I guess Pokin. I mean, fair enough. But like, he's like, find some trustworthy regulars and tell them to keep an eye on Viola and his teammates. He's like, and if they act the least bit suspicious, kill them all.
Kill them all.
Yeah, so he's like, he's not playing any sort of like, I'm not playing favorites. I'm not playing this whole like, you guys are all right. And if Viola's happy, he's like, fuck that. Like, if anything is getting in the way of our goals right now, that's not happening.
To do,
which really kind of is kind of usurping Jinsung's right? Jinsung's authority in a sense, right? Because Jinsung's like, leave it to me, I got it. Like, don't interfere. But now we have Karaka kind of putting his own orders out, which is directly, conflicting with that, because he's not telling him. Obviously, he's not like, hey, I'm gonna have guys put feelers out, right? So that was very interesting. That whole interaction that we have there for sure. And you ever play Mortal Kombat?
I mean, yes, I've played a game.
Do you know the character Urmak? Oh, damn. That's who, if anyone out there knows Urmak, that's exactly who Karaka reminds me of, because it almost seems like, whatever, he's cool. Anyway, well, I just had to say it.
He's got the and he's cool, so that's all.
Yeah, he's got like the nose and the thing. Anyway, so then we get back to Wang. He's talking to Ryun. He's like, "You're a guide." She's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, I want you to guide me to Bam's friends." And she's like, "Well, there's actually this really cool competition they have where this like weapons armory place is on X amount of floors. The workshop is on X amount of floors." And she's like, every 5 years. Floor. Thank you. Well, no, I think there are multiple. With the 30th floor, there's one chance.
There's multiple, but that's the words.
The first one they could get. Yeah, exactly. She's like, every 5 years. So for us, it'd be in 2 years. There's going to be a competition to basically obtain all those things. And she's like, if you want to go there, that's where they're going to be. I promise you. Right.
Go play the game of Deal or No Deal. And see if you
she already knows what's up. And it's really interesting because it's like Isaiah was saying this, where Ryun just like just knows, you know what I mean? Like all of these pieces of like who's doing what and where. And it seems like she always has like this like eagle eye. Well,
keep in mind that technically they are being tracked because literally she has to under Hong Sung, because if they want to kill them. And
that's true. And that was the point I made, where it's like, I know she's the guide. Like this is quite literally probably her job to know what's going on. But it makes me wonder like where her allegiance really lies, right? Because you see with like Jin Sung, right, for example, who is clearly a member of FUG and is clearly, on the side here of opposing jihad, but I think he's got a little bit more stake, at least now, in it than just like, we got to kill jihad no matter what. Because ever since meeting Bam, at least me personally, I believe that he's in the camp of like, Bam is starting to warm up his heart a little bit. And he's like, all right, you know what, maybe there's something here. Because again, there's a flashback we get later that combined, I feel like sort of with the lollipop metaphor that we get earlier, where like, and even just his exchange with Karaka, where it's like, I think I know a little bit more about the camp that Jin Sung sits in, but I can't say the same about Ryun. She's playing her cards a little bit, more cautiously. And it's like, it's not so easy to be like, all right, is she really just sort of like doing this because she's the guide? Like, is this like do the mission, you know what I mean, get it done? Or is there like, what is the personal stake, if there is any for her? And is it something that could ultimately, triumph over her duty or her job or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%. So then with that being said, we get to see some of the OG squad again, which was really awesome. And we get kind of the banter between.
Although I was a little cheated because I thought it was like going to be a genuine flip over to like, let's see how the crew's doing. And it's Shibusu, talking to Kun over the phone basically while Enterosi and Anak argue in the closet or whatever the fuck that is.
Basically saying like, this is where we're going to meet. So get ready or whatever. And for them, I think they said, well, whatever. They're going to meet there when the time comes. I don't want to scroll back too far. But anyway, that was really cool, though, to see that little snippet of them, right? So then we get into some of the backstory in this chapter of Jin Sung. And so we get him to come in, right? And he basically, long story short, without going panel by panel here, essentially doesn't believe in Bam at first and is like, this kid's an irregular. Like, he's just an ordinary kid. Like, there's something like, I don't think this is the path, man. Like, I don't think this is going to be it. And Han Sung is like, just wait. I'm telling you, this kid is incredibly talented.
He's like, bro, I finished all of Tower of God. I know how this ends. Just run with me here.
Facts, right? Yeah, and they have these like small conversations each day, which I think is comical because he's just, Han Sung's with his coffee and he's just chilling in his robes. And it's like they're just having, a convo, some morning coffee, right? And he's just, Jin Sung's out there just telling him his problems. So Jin Sung goes to show him an ability and essentially explains Shinsu a little more, right? He says to use the piercing technique, you approach the opponent. There are many ways to do it, but the strongest is the piercing technique, and transfer a shock of Shinsu within their body and vibrate the Shinsu until it explodes. Because he basically explains that there's two forms of ways to use it, right? In battle, Shinsu is used in two different ways. Correct. First, Shinsu is used to reinforce the body, and second, the Shinsu in your opponent's body can be manipulated.
I believe explains, obviously very vague and generally, how each of the different positions, right, fight, right? How they use Shinsu. You have people, I think, like your lighthouses and your wave controllers that work more to use Shinsu. What was this? It's like the second method up there that he explains, where it's not so much about reinforcing your own body, but it's manipulating and controlling Shinsu in other people's bodies, as opposed to probably, I would say, like your your spear throwers, and your fishermen, who are more about reinforcing their own bodies so that they can fight with their own Shinsu. So it's again, like, as far as, because this is actually an idea that somebody gave us for a future tier list episode, maybe, where they were talking about ranking different anime power systems. And I actually think Shinsu, at least recently, has really started like working its way up in my mind, just because of how much I still don't know about it, but like it's a pretty on the surface simple concept. But I think like can be executed, and from what I'm seeing so far, has been executed in such a unique way, because it actually, because the bare bones foundation is so simple, you can really like move that shit around, and you can really like fuck with it and get some interesting combinations of things. So I don't know, I just love Shinsu. I love the concept of how they fight here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really cool. So he shows them the technique, and this is an interesting couple panels here, because he goes, the problem is that you have to be in direct contact with the opponent, and your defenses will be down, but the power of the explosion is strong. Since it's a dangerous skill, you'll need to train for years to be able to use it safely, although there is a faster way of learning it. And he goes, Viola or Bam goes, it's okay, it's better than somebody dying because I dodged. And it's like, damn, dog. And Jin-sung doesn't really like that answer, so he goes up to him and just blasts him because, he was mad about it, or does whatever he's got to do, manipulates the Shinsu within him. And he's like, again, kind of venting his problems here. And we learn that he kind of axed his whole family as well, so that's relevant, and that he's like this ruthless mofo, right? But anyway, so then we get Ryun to come and talk, I guess, a little bit of sense into Viola, because she seems to be this like very good catalyst of like the male figure tries to like drill something into Viola's head, whether it's like Hansung or whatever, and it's like, you know what I mean, you're gonna do this, and then like Viola's just like, fuck you, just kill me, you know what I mean? But then Ryun comes in and it's like, but if you did this thing, you know what I mean? And then Viola's like, I will do that. You know what I mean? Like, he tries it.
Yeah, she's very good at manipulating people and using her words. Yeah. I mean, she knows how to talk to people.
Yep. So she kind of talks to him a little bit, reforms it, and then is like, go ahead, give it a shot again. So then she's like, good luck. So then Jin-sung is like, did you just talk to him? And she's like, yeah, I just talked to him. She's like, he's like, why the fuck did you talk to him? And she's like, oh, he's just going to probably try. Yeah, he's probably just going to go try that technique again. He's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? But this is the only way that they're able to really show him Jin-sung coming in from the outside. Ryun and Hansung have been monitoring Bam the entirety of this time. Sure. Right? So like Jin-sung's coming in, and he's underestimating how powerful Bam can be. So he rushes over there, and what he realizes is that Bam uses the technique, and although he doesn't make the thing explode, he puts a crack in it. And just that in and of itself is incredible, right? Like just the fact that he can do that on turn one, on try number one is insane. So he goes and flashes back to like his apparent lover here, that you'll never forget me and all that kind of stuff. And I think he sees now in Bam, you know what I mean? It's like, I think this could actually be a thing. Like, I think this could work. And he kind of opens his heart up a little, as it were, and, is like, all right, let's do this. Let's train.
Daddy Jin.
Yeah, that was cool, man. So then we get into the last chapter here, which I know Gavin will probably like this one. We all did. This was a great comedic relief, and just in general.
True. It was very funny.
It was awesome. So we get to the 77th floor.
Quant.
They're in a forest, and essentially, long story short, Quant is just bitching the entire time, but Leroro knows why he's supposed to be here. And eventually they stumble upon this weird-ass game store house, like, in the middle of
This is obviously a trap, don't go in house.
yeah, literally.
Meanwhile, Quant's like, games!
Yeah, games, like, let's do it. And Leroro, like, cautiously follows behind. You were going to say something, Gavin?
No, I really like the animation style that they took on Quant, where it's more animated in him, like, towards being a kid, it's not as much like stern Quant. It's like
that?
little kid Quant.
Yeah.
No, it's really nice and refreshing.
Yeah. So it's Kun's game store or whatever. So they meet one of these Kuns who seems to be the Kun that had met Kun.
That was with Yuri.
That was with Yuri in the lighthouse in season 1. And he's like, yeah, I'm the owner of this place. Like, want to play some games? So Quant's like, hell yeah, I want to play some games. So Quant gets stomped, literally, in fighters, in StarCraft, in like baseball, and all this kind of stuff. Leroro is just like, you're just an idiot, dude. Yeah. So Quant just like blows all of his money at this point. And so the guy's like, all right, you want to play one more game? And Quan's like, all right, let's do it. So they go outside at this point, and they see this like makeshift jet looking thing. And Quan's like, for real though? Yeah, he's like, a real floating ship? He's like, it's not real, but it basically does the same thing.
What sold it for me was when he was like, yeah, but when you go inside, it's going to look like it is an actual ship, but it's not. And you're like, come on, bro. Like, you can't.
And it's so funny because Quan's like, don't underestimate me. And he puts on the helmet right here, and then he goes, I've got my floating plane driver's license. It's just like, what? That was so funny, man. He's like, I'm going to beat him, right? So he goes up, and he goes to beat him, and all of a sudden the fucking Death Star is Kuhn's weapon of choice. And so Quan, though, doesn't give a shit and flies right into it, and then just gets fucking obliterated by it, which was hilarious. And so Lero at this point is like, all right, I'm not into games there's a reason I'm here, all right? Like, enough with the bullshit here. And Kuhn's like, oh, really? Like, okay, like, bro, are we going to do
this?
Look
at that inventory, though.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
This was sick,
That
dude.
was so sick.
Yeah, this was cool. It's like, Kuhn's got to stand now? That shit was fucking crazy, dude. He pulled that shit out. That was really cool. And they're just about to kind of go at it when Kuhn receives a call, and basically it's from Mr. Huge, and that he's supposed to be doing some sort of ulterior motive. We don't know what it is. So he's like, okay, like, you could come with me now, because Lero, what is his goal here again? His main goal?
So he's trying to get into the floor, the Wolfgang.
Yeah, I forget how it's pronounced. The Wolfgang sock.
Wolfhawksung?
Yeah,
Wolfhawksung?
He's trying to get into that group, and basically, Kuhn, whatever his name is, is like, all right, like, instead of fighting, I'll pass you a deal. We need an intern right now, and we need you to help me with something. If you do that, I'll let you into the group.
Because he was initially going to block him from trying to do that, but then when he gets the call, he's like, you know what, we're actually looking for
Which is also dope, because that means that my boy Lero is going to come into contact with Viola soon. And I can't wait. Dude, I'm so excited. As soon as I saw that, I was like, yes! Yeah. He's going to have his moment.
I wonder who the regular is that they're referring to. Because that's clearly the cleanup job there. Yeah. Where he's like, oh, there's a regular that like needs taken care of. So I need.
No, it's Viola.
Well, but he's not a regular though, and they know.
Well, I think it's more. Yes, but so don't forget that Kuhn is a part of that Wolfgang Nam thing on the 77th floor, who happens to be a part of it. Urek. What did Urek say in that last panel? You guys got to keep a better eye on him. As in, he calls up Kuhn and was like, hey, you got to keep an eye on this guy. Yeah, he doesn't know that Viola is an irregular, though. That is the big thing. So he would refer to him as a regular because all of the people, when they were in that test, were like, hey, we're all regulars. And all he had was that one-on-one. And I know what you're thinking where it's like, well, if he was that strong, he must have known there was something up about him or whatever.
No. What I'm thinking is when he says that, he refers to him as a Slayer nominee, not a regular.
Yeah, but I think it might be in purpose, to kind of keep us, throw us in a weird loop, where it's like, what regular is this? Like, they wouldn't, if they were just to say in this panel, oh, we're going to send him after the next Slayer nominee, everybody would be like, oh, yeah, it's Viola. But it's kind of to keep a realm of mystery. In my mind, that they're going to my boy Viola. That's what I think.
It could be. And I thought that I could be wrong, but I thought that after the first test that Viola and, all the company take, that those exploits sort of upped his publicity and the tower's awareness of him, and that exposed not his real identity, but just the fact that he's not some random regular running up to the tower.
Yeah, but Urek isn't a part of that society, so he wouldn't know. And not to mention, if he's being told to, hey, look at this regular, Kuhn automatically wouldn't be like, all right, it's Viola. No matter that, the notoriety scale wouldn't go up that high. Not to mention, I don't think it would it wouldn't be something that they need to know, It's just
it makes sense. A lot of people are out of the loop, what I mean, on this, sometimes intentionally and sometimes not, depending on who they're working with. So
that's my prediction. That's my big brain Kuhn prediction. So.
Big brain.
Yeah, we'll see if that.
Oh, by the way, I have to say, somebody was saying that we should cosplay as Gitang, who is Chicken Little from Kuhn's group, and we nominated you to cosplay.
Oh, 100%, dude. 100%. I would rock that shit.
Yeah, I don't knew that was coming.
That was coming. Yeah, because I was like, dude, I want to cosplay as Urek, and then they're like, what other cosplays? And then they threw that name out there. I'm like, that's Gavin, 1,000%.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Chicken Little is Gavin.
Yeah. Although I would want to rock Love. I think I'd rock Love.
Love? I could see Love.
Yeah, you could do Love.
That'd be
totally do Love.
You'd be a great Love. That'd be awesome.
We'll see. We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen. Yeah. Anyway, that concludes all of the chapters that we read. And we're very excited to get into the next read through. Just remember, obviously, if you are coming for the live streams, that we have changed the schedule as of now. So that will be Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You could catch our Tower of God live streams. We'll also be live streaming on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. What we are live streaming, we don't know for certain yet. So we'll have to keep you in the loop on that one. We're trying to experiment with a couple things and put out feelers and see what works and what doesn't, etc. So anyway, we're really excited to get into
100%.
Everything. It's like it's just getting better and better. It's just getting better and better as it goes, man. These characters are just so awesome. The community's awesome. This has just been a godsend to our channel just in general, and I couldn't be more excited to keep on going with this. But anyway, folks, until next time, that's all we got for you today. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace.
Later.
Peace.